Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Whenever you've chosen to listen or watch this on our new ECG YouTube platform, thank you so much for being with us. My name is Chris Wood, and I'm the Director of Customer Experience for Essential Cabinetry Group and Designer's Choice. Before we get started in talking about this wonderful new product launch and brand launch for Designer's Choice, I introduced myself as Essential Cabinetry Group, and I wanted to make sure that if you weren't familiar with our family of brands, that you had an opportunity to hear about that. Essential Cabinetry Group wants to be a solutions provider for you. We feel like Essential Cabinetry Group is rounding into an organization that will compete with the major players in this industry, but still act like a small business. So as you hear us talk about new products with Designer's Choice, understand that there's a bigger vision. There's a bigger vision to line up our product line so that when you learn one, you can learn them all. There's a bigger vision to line up our SKUs so that they're consistent across our platform. There's a bigger vision to set up product funnels so that as you move up the various price points with Essential Cabinetry Group, it makes sense where each brand stops and each brand begins. So as we go through this Designer's Choice brand launch, it means more. It means more about us being a solutions provider for you and being someone that can take care of every need you have and in this industry. So without further ado, let's talk about the new Designer's Choice. There is no way to minimize this launch. This truly is a new Designer's Choice. We are going to hit all of the aesthetic elements that make Designer's Choice what Designer's Choice is. That's door styles and color. And then we're even going to hit and impact the Spec Book. So as we work through this process, please understand that this was done 100% with your customer experience in mind. So without further ado, let's talk about the new door program at Designer's Choice. This slide shows you our current door program. 53 door styles you have to remember. That's a lot going on, right? Our model to this point has been, if you have a door and rail style combination and you have a different center panel, that door gets its own name. So as you develop a product line over time and add doors, you end up with 53 different wood door styles to remember. Here's your new program. 17 door styles, okay? 17 door styles. Now, how do we do this? Well, we do this by taking families of rail and door styles, or rail and styles, and then allowing you with certain door styles then to add center panels. So for instance, instead of having a Clemson door because it's a beaded panel, now you'll have one name and you'll substitute a panel for that beaded door style. Now we're going to walk through every single door so it makes sense, but man, this is a much easier and clearer way to navigate our door program. Now, what's also cool that you'll see later is a much more ergonomic and easy to read door page. And we've also lined up the door styles by letter in the alphabet so that you also know when the profiles change. Now don't worry, we'll see that in a minute. But big picture, here are the details. 17 new door styles, all new names, all right? There were no running changes, if you will, in these door styles, but all new names. We've also, to clarify and simplify the program, standardize this around the Conestoga door styles. So this actually means we go from 9 rail and style widths down to 4, all right? For cope and stick or M&T doors, it's actually 2. So 2 and 5/16 is 3 and 3 inch are all you have to remember for cope and stick. There are 3 for our miter door styles, all right? And one of those is a crossover from the cope and stick. So once you learn those few widths, then you will totally understand how many different widths we have in the door profiles. And in combination with those center panels, 98% of the product that you buy is covered in this change. I can assure you when we rolled this out to our sales reps, their first thought was, wow, how do we go from 53 to 17 but still cover the marketplace? You do it with the door and rail style combinations with the center panels. So 98% of the sales volume we do is covered in these changes. So have no fear, your family of styling is covered. Now I will say this, and you'll see this later, one change that's important is any door style with a square outside edge, if you will, and I'll use that terminology for simplification right now. Where applicable, our new standard outside edge is a 1/8 radius edge, okay? Now, the machine edge is still available, but it'll be available as an upcharge for 3%, all right? One of our sales guys actually says that he has an old finish guy that always said, man, putting finish on a knife edge is what it's like to finish the machine edge. Now, it's a great look. We need to offer it, but there is cost involved with that edge in our factory. The 1/8 radius is much easier to manufacture and meet your quality expectation in the field, so that will be our standard. But you can still get the machine edge for a 3% upcharge. Now, one very important process or part of this process, and I alluded to it in the open when we talked about Essential Cabinetry Group, is that this change will impact all of our brands. Our Tedwood brand has been working with Conestoga for decades. They're literally 40 miles away from Conestoga in Pennsylvania. By us lining our door style and rail profiles up around the Conestoga standard allows us to be much more flexible in our manufacturing. So you will also see a change in the next year with executive cabinetry. Designer's Choice is the starting point. Then we will move and make these changes too with executive, which then allows you, like I said, to learn one and learn them all. So this will line up across executive, and what you'll see is you'll have a certain number of door styles at Designer's Choice. You'll have the same profiles and styles, very similar, available in executive, but you'll have more. So that's the product funnel that we talk about. And you'll hear more about that if you're an executive customer in 2021. But I just want to make that point that this is part of the bigger vision. So we'll make the change at Designer's Choice and launch, and then we'll work through executive cabinetry in the next year. So that'll make more sense too, because how does that impact me as a customer? That's probably what you're asking. This gives us the ability to make product at multiple factories. This allows us to source and provide product in different parts of the country quicker. It gives us more capacity, which in turn helps us service you better. So you'll see those changes at executive in the next year, but it starts today with the new Designer's Choice. Now let's talk about the panel program. So that's the door and the style and rail side. Now we'll talk about the panel program. So there will be 5 panel options: flat panel, beaded panel, raised panel cove, raised panel bead, and solid reverse raised panel. All of these will be represented, of course, in the spec book, but also in our brochure. Now, I want to make sure you understand that not every center panel is available with every door or style and rail, okay? So the spec book will tell you what's available as well as the brochure, but it's not every single panel is available. Just want to make sure from a training standpoint that's understood. And again, all of this will be available in the brochure and represented there, and also in the spec book, all right? So 5 panel options that can be combined with the door, rail and style combinations. That's where we get and cover all the styling that's 98% of the volume, all right? And 17 door styles to remember, okay? Now, I think it's important that we actually walk through these doors, so let's do that now. The Atlas 231 was the door style that had the greatest opportunity to be a running change. The Atlas will replace the Briarwood and the Clemson, and it's very, very close to those door styles. And this is your, in essence, your standard shaker look. Now, I want to point this out. If you'll notice, it says Atlas 231. When I was first trained on this, I thought, oh my goodness, are we going to have a door name and then a number that we have to remember? Don't worry, it only happens on 2 styles, the Atlas and the Sarasota. And if I show you real quickly, they're both the same model, all right? So both the Atlas and the Sarasota have a sister door style, okay? The 231 is a 2 5/16. So basically your 2 1/4 look, all right? It's actually 2 5/16, but really close to 2 1/4. That's your 2 1/4 look. The 300 that's represented on the screen now is your 3-inch, okay? So both the Atlas and the Sarasota, which you'll see towards the end of the door section, you have a 2 5/16 and you have a 3-inch version. Those are the only two door styles that you have to remember, 231 or 300. So don't worry, it's pretty straightforward. If we back up now to the Atlas, the Briarwood's your 2 1/4, your Clemson was the beaded version of the 2 1/4. Those are now Atlas 231, and then you pick the BP if you want the beaded panel version, or you pick FP for flat panel or solid reverse raised panel. Those are the available panels for the 231. And now if you flip to the 300, you'll see those same center panels are available for the 3-inch version. Okay? So that's sort of the first glimpse, if you will, of how the model works. Now, notice we switched now to Bs, okay? So the Bellevue door is a totally different profile with a different inside profile style. So if you notice on the picture from the spec book, the inside profile is different than Shaker, and we changed to Bs, the Bellevue. Now let me click ahead just a couple so you can see also how we set up the spec book. Notice on the Branford, same inside edge profile, new outside edge. All right, so it's the same inside profile. We stay in the Bs with the Branford, but we give you your next outside edge. Look at the next slide. Same inside profile. Bristol is still a B, right? New outside edge, okay? The Bristol has a couple pages to show you, but the same idea. Now we switch to the Derby. We have a new inside edge profile. So that change in lettering indicates a change in the door and rail style profile. All right, so I wanted to show you that so you also understood how we group the doors in the spec book. The product simplification team did a wonderful job of organizing this not only so you can find it, but it also helps you learn it visually and learn it based on the alphabet, okay? So now let's back up just a little bit. I did want to show you that sort of as a group, but now let's back to the Bellevue door. Now this particular door is a 2 5/16 size width as well. The Zamina door was a 2 1/8, and the Bellevue door the Bellevue is the new flat panel because there wasn't a flat panel, which by the way gives you a better price point on the Bellevue. The Bellevue is now available at a 5% less price because we offer it in a flat panel that wasn't available previous. Just a side note, that's always good news, right? But this replaces the Zamina. If you sell Executive Cabinetry, our other brand in Simpsonville, South Carolina, you'll recognize this as the Urban door, okay? Again, starting to line up. The Urban door is one of our most popular doors, okay? So that's the crossover between the brands, but most importantly for our Designer's Choice folks listening in, it's now the Bellevue, not the Zamina, okay? Now we take the next page. This is the Branford. Now notice this. Notice the Arlington, the Crest, the Homestead, and the Newcastle are all replaced doors. Now you may say, how can you replace all those doors with one style? What we did was we looked at the styling of that particular Branford door, right, with the inside profile and the outside. We looked at our sales data, and on some of these doors, we grouped the sizing. So we did replace what is also a 2 1/8 in the Arlington, and we also replaced the Crest, which is 2 3/4. We used the data we had, we used the styling in the marketplace, and we absolutely did take some of those doors out and put them into a group. So these are grouped in the Branford, which is a 2 5/16 cope and stick door with that step over, if you will, outside edge and the scoop center panel, the bead center panel, okay? Or at least how it's represented. The flat panel, the solid reverse raised panel, and the raised panel cove are all available on this door, okay? You'll also see at the bottom, the Branford solid reverse raised panel was not previously available. So you now have a beefier center panel available in the solid reverse raised panel. Now, something I failed to mention earlier, but I just mentioned the beefier center panel, so it reminded me. We now have a 1/4-inch center panel for all flat panels. It used to be a 3/16, okay? So you now have a 1/4-inch center panel, a more beefy center panel on all of our flat panel doors. Just a side note, was on a slide earlier, but I want to make sure that I noticed that and made a note of it. All right, so let's keep going through the doors. Here's the Bristol, which replaces the Arcadia and the Ashley and the Bridgeport. Those are all 2 1/8 door styles, and you'll see in the spec book that the Bristol is a 2 5/16. Now the Bristol actually also replaces the Holloway and the Somerset and the Winchester. So by consolidating, we are able to cover all of those door styles with the Style and Rail plus the center panel program. All right, now the Derby is a new door to Designer's Choice, and this is just an example of a style that we felt like we needed, okay? So you change to the D's and you get a new inside edge profile. All right, the Daytona, same inside edge, different outside edge, covers the Breckenridge, the Langley, and the Wellington. And then this door for Daytona is new. So that's the raised panel cove and the solid reverse raised panel, new for Daytona. Here's the Delray, which replaces the Dover, the Essex, and the Hampton. Those are 2 1/8, 2 1/8, and 2 3/8. Again, 2 5/16 is the width of the Delray. Hanover, Newport, and the Delray solid reverse raised panel is new. All right, now let's talk a little bit about the Destin, because this is an important distinction. The Destin door is just a one-page door, if you will, okay? This is a change from the Rockford. If you're familiar with the Rockford at Designer's Choice, that is a step-down door similar to the new Destin, but the Rockford has 2 steps, okay? The Destin has 1 step. So if you look over to the right there and you see in the spec book, there's 1 step. If you compare that to the Designer's Choice current spec book, you'll see the Rockford has 2 steps. The Destin lines up now with the Putnam and the Empire, both at Executive and our custom brand, Tedwood. Very popular doors. This is a good style change because this is a more popular, more transitional, cleaner look than the 2-step Rockford door, all right? But we do want to point that out. That is a construction look style change from the previous Designer's Choice door, all right? So the Destin solid reverse raised panel is also new because you now have the beefier center panel available in that door. And that is, of course, a miter door. All right, a new one here as well. This is the Edgewood door. This replaces the Avondale 3-inch, okay? This is a 2 11/16 wide door and matches the Nassau and the Broadway door, 2 popular doors at both Executive and Tedwood. Now, another door we want to talk just a little bit about because it is a change. The Lantana door is the new slab door for Designer's Choice, okay? This replaces the Chattington door and it's different than the Chattington door, okay? The Chattington door was an outsourced door that was at a fairly high price point. The Chattington door had a full face veneer look that covered the edge banding, all right? So you could paint that door, all right? So you'd pay the higher column 9 price and add your paint charge to the Chattington door. But that door is now being replaced by a door with edge banding, okay? So the new door, the Lantana door, has a 2 mil solid edge banding that wraps the outside of the door. Now, an important change to this is that means this is only available as a stain door, okay? So the Lantana will only be available as stain because a door with edge banding does not paint well because the paint will sink into the edge glue line, all right? Now, this is a popular door at Executive as the Richmond door and a popular door at Tedwood is the Four Corners door. So we have sales history with this door. It's a great door, but you will need to pivot your paint business to the Mojave door. Now, the Mojave door is not in this presentation because it's already in the Designer's Choice line and it's not going anywhere. The great news about that is when you paint the Mojave door, you're painting a column 6 door as opposed to painting a column 9 door. And that is a 20% difference, okay? So if you're familiar with Executive, that would be the Sahara door, same as Mojave, and a very popular door and a popular paint at a much better price. Again, the Mojave will save you 20% over painting the previous Chattington door. But it is different, so we want to make sure that we highlight that in this particular presentation. All right, the Layton door is more of a traditional profile. It replaces the Atlanta and the Savannah, and then we also added the solid reverse raised panel that is a new door. This is a great glazed door, by the way, as you'll notice with those sort of rounded profiles in this fully captured tooling miter door. Now here's the Melbourne door, another miter door, and you'll notice that this is a 2 7/8, basically a 3-inch look. It replaces the Celeste, which was a 2 1/4, so we point that out again. The Heritage is a 3-inch, the Primrose is 2 1/4, and the Sonoma as a 3-inch. Replaces those doors, okay? Now here's the great news about the Melbourne. We didn't change the price of the Melbourne from the Celeste at a 2 1/4. So you actually get a beefier 3-inch looking door and it stays at a column 7. So that's a win, right? A beefier 3-inch looking door at a 2 7/8, right? Still getting it at the column 7 that was the Celeste or the Primrose. All right, so a change in the door replaces those other doors at 2 1/4 and 3 inches, but you get it at this column 7 price. All right, I'm personally drawn to this door because it's the namesake of where our Designer's Choice factory is. This is a new, much needed door in the Designer's Choice lineup, all right? This is the Rockledge door. Again, the city where our factory is. And if you'll notice, this is in essence, modified beveled shaker. Again, a profile that we don't currently have. This is a very popular door at Executive, the Simpsonville door, and a very popular door at Tedwood, Pomona. And it follows the lineup. Simpsonville was named after where the Executive factory is. Rockledge, of course, named after where the Designer's Choice factory is. And again, this is a brand new door style that we needed to add. So we're really excited about this door. It's a 2 5/16 profile, and it's going to be at a great price point, a column 7. All right, I mentioned this door earlier. Remember, there's 2 doors in the lineup that have a numeric identifier, okay? So the Atlas 231 and 300 and the Sarasota 231 and 300. And if we remember, what that means is the 231 is a 2 5/16 door and the 300 is a 3-inch door. So this door replaces the Aubrey, the traditional shaker, and it's going to be a little bit different. The Aubrey and the traditional shaker actually have a slight bevel on not only the front and face of that profile, but also the back. This particular door, the Sarasota, both the 231 and the 300, will only have that slight bevel, modified shaker, on the front side of the door. Again, probably not terribly important to the styling of the door, but it is a change that needs to be mentioned, all right? So the Sarasota 231 is your 2 5/16, and your Sarasota 300 is your 3-inch version. Again, this is a popular door at Designer's Choice and only slightly different with the modified bevel only being on the front instead of the front and the back, all right? And then the final door, the final wood door in the lineup is the Tatum. And the Tatum replaces the 2 1/2-inch profile Hawthorne and the 2 1/2-inch profile Tacoma. And this too is a 2 5/16 miter door. We did add, like many of these, a solid reverse raised panel option that you did not have previously. Okay? Now, that's a walk through all 17 new wood door names and panel combinations. So hopefully you understand the model and understand the logic of hopefully making this much more simple for you not only to learn, but also to convey to your homeowner, which is what this is all about anyway. Now, we did discontinue some doors, okay? Now, I mentioned earlier that this new program captured 98% of the volume that you sold, right? Well, here's the 2%. So we did discontinue doors that fit into that category of honestly product you didn't sell. So this slide will show you marked out with the red X's specific doors that were not kept in the line and that do not have a crossover, okay? So the Aberdeen, the Brittany, the Brunswick, the Cetera, the Designer Shaker, the Heartland, the Henderson, the Jamestown, Monaco, Jameson, Solomon, Stepford, and the Woodmont are no longer in the line, okay? Now again, that was 2% of the volume, and I know whenever we discontinue something, the folks that sold the 2% want to know why it's gone. But that is the reason, right? So for us to be able to streamline this, you'll notice those black line doors, those are all your rope molding doors, typically not sold these days. The shaker door, the Designer Shaker was the door that had the V-groove, if you will, that went from the bottom side of the rail and stile out to the outer edge. Again, just not a popular door. So we made those decisions to help make this more understandable a model, okay? Now I do want to make sure you understand this. Available on the portal, because you've seen all these doors now and you're like, man, there's got to be a tool, right, that allows me to see the crossover. It's available on the dealer portal. We'll talk a little bit later about what else is all available on the dealer portal, but you can go download actually 2 versions. It's all in one PDF. There is an old to new crossover, and then there's a new to old. And the great part about this is, for the most part, pricing did not change. There was one door, the Quincy door, that was realigned, but the other doors either maintained or, as I mentioned, we added options that gave you maybe a better price point, specifically a flat panel door that we added. So you will find this tool on the dealer portal, and I'll show you what it looks like a little bit later. But this will help you with not only old to new, but new to old, and it lists the discontinued doors. So make sure you check that out. All right, well, that's the door program. Obviously a big deal. I'm really excited about the work that the team did to lay out the model and make it easier to understand. So let's move on now to the next most important thing, right? And that's color. So more current finish selection. That's what you're going to see in this lineup. 21 paints, 17 stains, and 4 glazes on 3 wood species, okay? Now, I want to make sure this is something that you understand, right? A part of the bigger vision and the product funnel, this process started actually last year with Executive. So if you sell Executive, you'll realize that there are products in the Executive line already, like Ballard Blue or Ice Green, that were already offered in Designer's Choice. This is the next step, because what you'll find is all the colors available in Designer's Choice now are available in Executive. All right? Executive just has more colors available. So we've now begun to line up and align the colors in our brands so that as you go up the price points, you get more colors or more customization and flexibility. So it's all starting to take shape and sort of brings us back to that bigger vision. All right? Part of that vision is the new display box, which is you can see on the slide here. So that display box has a section in the back. It doesn't sit up at an angle. This was just for the photo. But that white box section in the back of that box that says Essential Cabinetry Group and lists our 3 brands, that fits in the Designer's Choice kit and holds the blocks in place. If and when you add Executive Cabinetry to your lineup in your showroom, that white box section comes out, and an Essential Cabinetry Group Executive Cabinetry booster kit, if you will, goes in. So now you have the opportunity to, when you upgrade and when you add Executive, you already have the display kit available to you, and we add those colors. So I wanted to make sure you understood that there was a bigger picture vision to the new display box that's demonstrated there in the slide. One of the things we also did in this color palette upgrade is we eliminated the species complexity. So you now do not have medium maple or medium cherry as available colors. So you could get into a confusing situation where you wanted to put medium maple on a cherry species, or you wanted to put medium cherry on maple. To be perfectly honest, I'm surprised we didn't screw that up with you more often than we did, because those colors are confusing. So those families of colors have now been replaced with other single renamed colors. So the color groupings are covered, and I'll show that to you in just a minute, but we've taken that complexity out. You will be getting a new radiant white in this kit. This is very important. So as we lined up our colors and as we solidified our relationship with one single finish supplier, we had to change the white. Radiant white is a whiter white than the current color that is named white in the Designer's Choice line. This radiant white will replace white at Designer's Choice, okay? So it's a whiter white than the current white, which is what everybody wants. And then you will also be able to get that radiant white in Executive if you have that line. More communication will be going out soon on that to our Executive customers, but that is very important to know that radiant white will replace the currently offered white color for Designer's Choice. So a lot of talking about that. Now let's take a look at the palette. Here's your paint palette. So again, very current. You've got plenty of white selections that bleeds into your cream selections. This is represented this way in the brochure, so it to the eye is very ergonomic and allows you to see those progressions through your white to your grays, into the few greens that we offer, and then into your blues all the way through black. So this is how this will be represented in the brochure. And I think a very nice palette, especially for the paint. And again, all of these colors will be offered in Executive. So let's look at the stains now. This is your new stain color palette. Many stains have changed names, so make sure that you see that. Either have been eliminated and replaced with another name, or has changed the name. So it's very important, okay? We reset the brochure as well, so that it also looks much more ergonomic and flows better with your progression. If you take a look at the current stain palette brochure, it's not organized by color progression. You'll see obviously colors that we took out that people don't really see in the marketplace now. So your oranges and reds and medium tones that are not sellers. There are some colors here that we did sell, like Acorn, that are no longer in the line. But when you go back and take a look at the new color palette, you'll see that those color groupings are covered by the new colors. So these will be available on Maple, Cherry, and Red Oak at Designer's Choice, all right? And you'll see those all demonstrated. And again, Executive doesn't have Red Oak, but we will have those stains that will be available on what we offer in White Oak, just as an example of the lineup. And I'll actually show you a chart a few minutes from now that talks a little bit about our species lineup across our factories, okay? So again, new color palette, which replaces the current stain palette. Much more current and much better color offering. All right, now, if we change the door styles and we change the colors, obviously that impacts how your information, your spec book, and how you order. So we need to talk about that. But not only did we change just those individual sections of the book, if you will, but we took the opportunity to really create a new Designer's Choice spec book. So what you're going to see in the new book is 165 fewer pages. So I'll show examples of where we consolidated pages. There was quite a bit of redundancy. The way we reorganized the doors obviously took a bunch of pages out. So you now have simply a thinner book, but you don't have a book with less information. We actually added more information into the book, more specific information into the book, organized the data better so that if it was redundant, it wasn't shown more than it was needed, right? So it's easier for your eye. We've added more information, but less pages, and I'll give you examples of that. Maple, this is very important, and this will impact our column pricing, and I'll talk about that in a second. but we've reset maple as the standard species. All right, I'll show you a slide where that sort of impacts all of our product lines, but now red oak will be a 5% discount. Oak used to be the standard. Now maple is the standard. And we were able to reset the list pricing based on that. This is not a price increase. This is not what we've done, okay? This is a realignment. And if you'll notice also, Presidential and Euro are now the same price. So that's part of that realignment. There were some SKUs in Euro that would have gone down or gone up to realign with Presidential or vice versa. Our base 18 has always been the same in Presidential and Euro, but lots of accessories were different. Other SKUs that were individual to one or to the other. So that's all been lined up so that it's much clearer and easier to understand in the book. Cabinet specs have been added to the beginning of each section. I'll show you examples of that. And this has all led to an easier to understand column pricing. Okay, so I have some slides on that going forward, but that's your overview of the main changes in the Designer's Choice new spec book. Now, we do have some individual SKUs that we've added, and I'll show you some of those as well. But why don't we click through now some of those pages. This page demonstrates how we took 3 pages on the left from the current, or what will be the old spec book, and consolidated that into 1 page. So if you'll notice in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see an arrow of that new page. All of the SKUs on that page have the same modifications available. So we just put them in 1 mod chart instead of 3 mod charts. Also, you'll notice that we have reorganized the sizing. So we always go from the smallest size to the largest size. So 30, 33, 36. Oftentimes in the previous book, the current or the old book, that was not consistent. So you might have that flipped where you have the largest sizes to the lower sizes. That has now been reorganized so that the book is consistent. And then that bottom left-hand arrow just shows you that because those notes impact all of those SKUs, you only need to see it once. So those changes allowed us to go from 3 pages of sort of maybe a little more of a muddy look to the page to a more clear, concise 1 page. All right, so huge change to the book. Another example here is I have also shown that we put the mod chart or the individual mods in one place and also took the notes out. So really this is sort of the same idea on the base cabinet section. Just another way to take the redundancy out. Notice here on the left, top left of this slide, that's our wall cabinet bloom flip up section. I learn with pictures. All right, if I'm confused on something, I want to see it in pictures. Many people work the same way. So the new book demonstrates those lift ups in a visual image. Okay, really good addition to the book. The team did a great job. Here's just another example where we took the Urban and Millennium, these accessories, and put them on 1 page. Those arrows point out that if it's a note for Millennium, we put those notes in, had a separate section for the Urban, but put it in the same place. Again, 2 pages down to 1. Here's a cool section where for the accessories for Presidential and Euro, we were able to put them all on 1 page, and then where they're differentiated by Euro and Presidential, we just mark that in the same chart. So you'll see that as it goes down linearly, the Euro section is all under that tab, and the Presidential is all under that tab, and the notes and the mods apply to all. Now, I mentioned this earlier. I want to take just a second to talk about what this page demonstrates. I mentioned maple is now the standard pricing. So, in this chart in the upper right, we demonstrated the price projection, okay? What we did is we set column 7, that's your maple shaker. So that's sort of the gospel line, right? The maple shaker. We'll call that 100, all right? So if you look to the left of that chart, you'll see 0 to 160. That doesn't mean anything related to pricing. It's just setting our benchmark at 100 at column 7. What we did in this chart was overlay the old column pricing in the orange line against now a much more consistent new column pricing in the blue line. So what you'll notice is from column 3 all the way through column 7, it's now an approximate 5% increment, all right? 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 is all 5%, all right? 8 does jump 10%. And the sole purpose that 8 jumps to 10% is we didn't want to take the doors that were column 8 and move them. They are priced the same. That is not a price increase. They are exactly where they always were, but we didn't want to change those pricing columns for those doors, so we left that increment. Then to column 9 is 5%, and to column 10 is 5%, all right? So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are all 5. You do take a 10% jump to 8, and then you continue on 9 and 10, 5%. Now you may say, why does it drop off then at 11? 11 is where the textures are. Our thermostructured surface textures are in column 11, and they line up exactly with column 7, all right, which is maple shaker. So our textures start there, and we wanted to keep that the same as well. So we do adjust to column 11 to line up with column 7, okay, for the textures because it's a different product. And then you do take the jump from 11 to 12 because 12 has your acrylic glosses, all right? So that jump has always been a 35% jump between the textures to the glosses, all right? So us realigning our wood species to be standard at maple, okay, also allowed us to be consistent across our other factories. And I did want to point this out in this slide. So in the bottom right hand, you'll see the species that are offered across our product platforms at Designer's Choice, Executive, and Tedwood. And the main point here, and this is what you need to remember, is now cherry, for instance, if the brand carries cherry, it's a 10% upcharge from maple, okay? If the brand carries walnut, it's a consistent 15% upcharge from maple. You'll notice Designer's Choice, now set at maple for standard. Red oak is -5. That's not a discount. That's where red oak always has been. But when we reset the pricing to maple, red oak now is a 5% discount. And so in this chart, you just get the idea and see a little bit of the larger vision that now Learn One, Learn Them All allows a customer, if they get into the Tedwood line or Executive line, they always know cherry is going to be a 10% bump from maple. Again, part of that solutions provider idea for Essential Cabinetry Group. Okay, we spent a little time on this, but this is an important change. I will make this comment too. If you notice the orange line, we had some thermofoil that was more expensive than wood product. That has all been changed and is all now linear. Okay? So let's get into some details because there have been some SKU changes. This is 100% the we like to listen section, okay? So your feedback to us about what was needed in the marketplace is 100% what these slides are about. So to go down the list quickly, diagonal base cabinets now have a clip back. I'll show you that. We have new farmhouse sink apron sizing. We were too small for the marketplace and the size of those sinks. We've made that change. We now have cabinet specs at the front section. I'll talk about that when we get there. Painted MDF now is a column 6. We talked about the Mojave a little bit earlier. That's represented there. Cabinets over 36 inches will have a 3-inch center stile. I actually don't have a slide on that, so we'll talk about it now. That also means that cabinets under 36 inches will not have a center stile. That was something that wasn't consistent in the old book. We have now set that line at 36 inches, so any cabinets over 36 inches will have a 3-inch center stile. We've added a mod form for microwave and oven cabinets, so you can clearly send us information for cutouts and modifications. I'll show that to you. And then we added a new section for desk cabinets. 29.5 cabinets set in the vanity section. They now have their own section. They're still the same SKUs, but they have their own section because they really fit as 29.5-inch desk cabinets. So now that I've sort of given that to you verbally, let's pop through these. I'll show you any of our angled diagonal base cabinets now. This clearly impacts our north customers. These small hamlets and villages and remodels in these cottages, the door frames just weren't big enough. That architecture typically is different in Florida. So when we started moving more into the north, this started to come up more often. You asked, we listened. So that actually makes it easier to get those cabinets now in the house, and also lines up with our other brands on how we build those cabinets. So here's the farmhouse sink. So 2 different sizes, right? Frameless and framed are different. Frameless is now going to be 11 5/8, and your sink front is going to be 12 1/2 in framed, okay? That's just lining up with what we see in the marketplace and the sinks that people are using. You asked again, we listen. Now this is important. We now give you the door sizes for our cabinets. So these specs will show up demonstrated here for the wall cabinets. These specs will show up in the front section before the wall cabinets. This is a question that comes up a lot with our customer care team, asking for that door sizing. So now it's represented. Here's an example of what this will look like in our tall cabinet section. All right, very important addition. Again, we want you to call us. We love it when you call us, but there's a lot of things that you shouldn't have to call us on, and this is something that we get a lot of requests for, of information. So obviously it's something that you need at your fingertips, and now you have it. Here's the new oven micro mod form. So you fill that in and we get clear information on those modifications. Customer care team is trained on this. They'll ask you for this if it's not something that you've sent in already. Just gets us the information in a very legible format. We don't want to make mistakes. You don't want to make mistakes, and this helps us to be more accurate. And then here's the new desk section. So now these 29.5-inch cabinets are all represented in their own section at the very back of the vanity cabinet section. Okay? So again, great additions. Now, with any major changes, like with the door section, there are some things that are going away, okay? And again, this is based on what you guys buy from us, okay? Alder is a big deal, right? Because it's a species we offer. Please understand, we didn't sell a lot of alder, and alder was the same price as cherry, okay? So cherry really is the preferred species. It was the same price as alder, so we are taking alder out of the line, all right? Melamine doors. Again, not something that you purchased from us at a regular rate. And also, this is not the TSS melamine textured doors. As I mentioned earlier, those are still alive and well in column 11. All right, but the lower end melamine doors were not popular, and those are now out of the line. Painted red oak is going away. Painted red oak is tough because of the expectation. Again, not something we did a lot of, but it's also something that from a specification and expectation standpoint, we want to make sure that what comes out of our building is what you expect. And that is difficult to do with painted red oak. So we're going to take that out of the line. We had some really odd size cabinets in the spec book that had been added over time. So a 10-inch tall cabinet, 17-inch tall, a 23-inch tall, and a 37-inch wide, those are no longer SKUs that are available. Really sort of random over the years that were added. Please understand, this question came up in some of our Zoom calls that we did in December. You can still get to these sizes with the mod program. The mod program has not gone away. So please understand, you can absolutely still mod to a 10-inch tall. You can absolutely still mod to a 37-inch wide. Part of the beauty of designer's choice and our flexibility. So please know that those sizes aren't going away. You would mod to them, all right? They're just not going to be represented in the book. And then also sort of a funky size a little bit for vanity cabinets and tall cabinets are the 18-inch deep cabinets, okay? So again, you can mod to those SKUs, but they are not going to be represented in black and white or in digital form on the downloadable PDF, okay? So major changes to the spec book, welcome changes to the spec book. Again, less pages, better information, easier to read. Very happy with what the team did in the new Designer's Choice spec book. So, Man, we've talked about door changes, we've talked about color changes, we've talked about spec book changes. That's a lot of information, a lot of great changes. So my guess is you're saying like, now what? So how do I order? How do I get a kit? How do I get my hands on the information? So this is a launch kit. So we did prepare a launch kit for this launch. This may or may not be needed based on your life cycle with Designer's Choice. You may or may not have a selling center. We can actually bore these doors if you do. But if you want to participate in the kit that was developed for this launch, it is available and those order tools are on the portal, okay? That kit includes 32 doors, paint and stain. And you may say, well, the selling center has 36. Yes, 4 doors make the 36 are still available. And that's your foil and your painted MDF and your gloss and your texture, okay? Those didn't change. So the kit addresses the changed wood doors in paint and stain. There's 32 doors, okay? Of course, you've got to get the new block kit, all right? So the Designer's Choice block kit with the section for the Executive Booster kit in the back, the new display box, those are available as part of the kit. Of course, they're available if you wanted to buy them separately. The 2 new spec books, all right? If you need more spec books, order those separately. I'm sure you may have more designers than just 2, but the kit itself has 2 spec books and then 1 packet of 25 of the new brochures, all right? So the kit is available if you want it in that format. You can still get selling centers, display door kits, the 15-door kit. All of that information is available on the portal and will be available as of January 1st, which we'll talk about later. But if you want the kit, you can get the kit, okay? So there's a lot of different ways to order from Designer's Choice, whether it's a quote tool or sending us in a PDF or through 2020. I want to make sure you understand, depends on when you're watching this video, right? If you're watching this video in December of 2020, all of these changes just happened, okay? If you're watching this video in June of 2021, maybe you just became a part of the Designer's Choice ECG family and you're getting up to speed on the changes that took place and re-educating yourself on it in June of 2021, this information will be dated. You just need to know it's all done, right? If it's December of 2020, understand that as of last Friday, when we announced this, December 4th, as of this taping, all of this is updated, okay? Now, we only have one quote tool. So the quote tool includes the new SKUs, all right? So the SKUs that we discontinued, those odd size cabinets, for instance, as of right now in December of 2020, are not available in the quote tool. Now again, you can send us an old quote. You can hit submit on the old quote. You can still, as of right now, order those SKUs, okay? But they will not be represented because they're SKUs, and we had to make that update to the quote tool. Now, doors and colors are globals, okay? So when you place an order, you've got box construction, you've got color, you've got door style, etc., right? We all know how that works. Doors and colors from the old program are still in the quote tool, okay? They are represented with a Z, okay? So the old colors and the old doors, because they are global attributes to an order, are still available, represented with a Z, all right? So go on the quote tool, use the quote tool, submit old orders that are already in the quote tool, no problem. Just understand you won't find discontinued SKUs and you will find added SKUs immediately in the quote tool, okay? Now, PDF, no problem, place an order with us on the PDF, just like maybe that's what you've always done. Those are now available on the dashboard. So, as is represented in this slide, when you log into the dealer portal, you get this screen. If you click on the plus sign for order and miscellaneous forms, then this drop-down tree opens, okay? And you'll notice DC 2021 launch order form. That's for the kit, okay? Right underneath that, DC door conversion 2021. That is the PDF conversion form that I showed you earlier. Old to new, new to old, and lists all the discontinued doors. So those are now available on the portal along with all the other forms that you're accustomed to getting. The PDF order forms, all of that has been updated, okay? So again, if you're watching this in December, it's updated. If you're watching this in June of 2021, it's long since been updated, and probably with any other product additions we may add, those would be updated as well. But this is all available on the dealer portal, on your dashboard when you log on, okay? Now, many of you order through 2020. It's the same explanation as the quote tool, okay? Now, little different because you can use your old catalog of 2020, the current designer's choice. You can design in that catalog, it is available, and you can send that SKU list into order entry, and we will use that along with a PDF header. We do want you to send to us with your 2020 SKU list an order form, so we have your globals on that order form, but you can use the old 2020 for now. Understand, if you download 2020 from our website as of December of 2020, okay? Don't let that confuse you. December of 2020, downloading the new 2020, it will be just like the quote tool. It's updated, okay? It will have the old global doors and colors listed with a Z, just like the quote tool, but all the SKUs will be discontinued. That word discontinued will not be in 2020, okay? The new SKUs will be. We only have one new 2020. It has to be that way, all right? So we'll take your 2020 SKU list just like we always have. We'll take it off the new 2020 or the old 2020 until those discontinued SKUs are not, you can't purchase those anymore. We'll talk about that soon. But that is already updated, okay? Pro Kitchen is slightly behind. All of the information as of December 2020 has been sent to Pro Kitchen, and we are hoping to have that done by January 1st or very early in Q1 of 2021, okay? So Pro Kitchen should be done. If you're listening to this in June, it's been done. If you're listening to this or watching this in December of 2020, or maybe the first couple of days of January, check in with your outside sales rep or your customer care rep, or see if it's updated on the portal for download. But Pro Kitchen is shortly and close behind 2020, okay? Now, what is the availability? Obviously very important, and this is date sensitive. So just as I said a moment ago, depending on when you're watching this, morning, noon, or night, in December of 2020 or in June of 2021, these dates are set, all right? This product and the changes can be ordered starting January 1st, all right? January 1st, all of these products can be ordered from Designer's Choice, okay? Discontinued product, old product that we've discussed today is available till the end of January, okay? Till the end of January, you can order the old product, all right? Those orders must be signed off by the end of February. So February 28th is the drop dead cutoff for signing off on any orders with old product. So to summarize, very important, new product is available to be ordered January 1st, all right? You can order old product up through the end of January, must be signed off by February the 28th. Again, listen to this in June of 2021. Ignore everything I just said. We're long past it, okay? So finally, and maybe most importantly, man, how do I learn more? This hopefully was a very helpful presentation, but we know you have questions. Your number one source of information is your outside sales rep. The team of guys and gals that are out traveling around the country talking about Essential Cabinetry Group are trained on this. Reach out to them. They should have the information you need, not only about the program changes, but also securing product, okay? Or securing your kit, or securing supplies, or the process to order and the timelines, okay? Now, some of you may be brand new. Some of you may be watching this video and you are a support staff member maybe in a design center, okay? You don't know who your outside sales rep is. Just shoot an email to sales@dccabinetry.com or an email or phone call to your customer care rep. All right, so an email to customer care or sales@dccabinetry.com. Now our phone number is piece of cake to learn, right? 888-5-ECG-CARE. All right, 8885-ECG-CARE, and that's 1-888-532-4227. Call us. We'll be happy to help and get you in touch with your outside sales rep or answer your question on the fly. The team is ready and willing to get you up and going with this new launch. We are so grateful that you've taken the time to watch this presentation on our new YouTube platform for Essential Cabinetry Group. Again, we are committed to being one team with you, winning together and being a solutions provider for your every need in this cabinet space. So please reach out to us. This is about you and your customer experience. Again, my name is Chris Wood, Director of Customer Experience here at Essential Cabinetry Group. Thank you so much.